All right, so today we're going to see how we can work with the OpenCart application API. OpenCart application API. Okay, so to get this OpenCart application API, OpenCart application is basically an e-commerce application. So to perform any activity in the application, internally it will use APIs. So to access this OpenCart APIs, yesterday we have seen how we can install OpenCart application. So I already shared those steps. And if not installed, please install this application first. And then you will able to get the application. Okay. So first we need to install XAMPP server so that we will get MySQL and also then we will get Apache. So these are the two things which we required. And after that, we can start installing OpenCart application on your local machine. So then only we'll able to access and then only you will able to create your API user. So that is a user we need actually to access all the APIs. Okay, so we have already installed. So let me start my application using XAMPP server. So let me open my XAMPP control panel and I'm starting Apache and then MySQL. And just start and then MySQL. So these two components should up and running to access your application. So you can just minimize it. And now let me just start opening my application. You can say localhost and you can say OpenCart. So till here. So this is a URL. So localhost, and you can also access through IP address. Instead of localhost, you can specify your local IP address. So localhost OpenCart upload index.php. So this is opening the front end application. So if you want to go to administrator, so we need to use another URL. Let me share that URL. Okay, so if we just want to open the administrator, we have to use this URL. So this is the one, OpenCart upload admin. Okay, so now let me just try to log in into application. So I have given this user at the time of installation. So the same user we have to use. So I hope you remember yesterday while installing this application. So at the time of database connections, we have to provide the username here, right? So in this step, whatever user we provided here, admin. So the same user we have to use to administrator user. So go to this application. So now once you log in into application, you can see system. Okay, go to system, users, and here you can see API. So click on this API. Now here you can see by default, you will see the default user and you have to create your new user. So how to create a new user? Yesterday I have shown you. You can just click on the plus button and here you have to provide the username of API. And when you click on the generate button, so the API key will be generated here and you have to enable this. And after that, you need to go to IP address tab. And here you have to add your local system IP address. Okay. And third tab session will be there. So this session is having something called token IP and so on. So this will automatically created whenever you start sending the request in the Postman tool. So this session we will create through the request. Okay. So as soon as user is logged in, so this session will be created automatically. So we don't need to bother about this. Only general and IP address. So these are the only two sections we have to take care. This is just one-time job. Okay, you don't need to do this every time. So once you created your API user and once you added your IP address here, and you can use it for your Postman tool. So whenever you are trying to test your OpenCart APIs, so you can use this particular user. Okay, so now currently I already have some API users. So demo and demo 1, 2. So 2 users I have. I can use any of this user. Let's say demo user I'm going to use. This is a thing we can do in the admin application. Okay, so status should be enabled. Okay, status should be enabled as soon as you are trying to create. So here you have to select enable. Otherwise, you cannot use the API user. Okay. So I already created 2 users. I can use one of the user. You guys can try this. Okay, so I'm using the demo user. So when you click on this demo user, I already added the API key. So this is automatically generated. Okay, when you click on this generate, this API key is generated. By using this API key, we have to generate the token. The token we have to generate. Token in the sense session. So here you can see there are multiple tokens which is already generated. Actually, these tokens are generated in the Postman tool. Okay, so I'll just remove these tokens for now so that I can create these tokens through Postman request. Okay, I removed all my tokens. So I currently have only one API key and then IP address. Currently, this is my current IP address and there is nothing in the session. So these are the sessions or tokens which are created through Postman request. Okay, so currently my ID is also enabled state. So this is a basic setup you have to do. And then you can close your administrator or you can just minimize it, no problem. Okay, let me just close this for now. So no need. So once you have done the setup in the administrator, now we are ready to test the APIs. So first of all, we need to understand what are the APIs are available and what are the endpoints, what are the parameters, what is the request body, what is the response body. So we need to have some documentation. So there are 2 documentation. One is static document is available. The other one is Postman document, which I have created yesterday. So you can just refer both of them and accordingly you can prepare the test. So this is one document. And this is another document, 2 documents. So this is okay, first we'll see this one. So this is a documentation, their own documentation, open card documentation of these APIs. And this setup, we already done it. And we have to start from here. Okay, so we have to do this first. This is the first step and from the login. So this is the second step. Okay, so I think something is wrong in this document. Yesterday I found some issues in this document, but I have corrected them and I will share the updated document. Let's try to understand this first. So this is the first request we have to send to generate the token. Okay, so this is the post URL. And this is the key in the admin. We have created the key, right? API key. So that key we have to use. And this is a post request. And what is the data is username and key. So username is we have to pass username. And this key again we are passing here. Basically, to create a session or to create a token, we require 2 things. One is API key is required. The other one is username is required. So both the things we can get it from the admin. So from admin, demo is my user. And also API key which is generated, we need to copy that key somewhere else. You need to keep that key in the notepad or somewhere else. Okay. From the admin term, you have to capture them. And then you have to make ready those 2 things, very important. And token we have to generate through Postman request. Right. So first of all, initially for the first request, we need to generate the token or session by passing username and key. And this from the second request onwards, we need only token key. Okay, so whichever the token we generated in the first request, the same token we are going to use for the rest of the request. So these are the different API requests they have given for login and currency conversion and adding product to the cart. And then they have given one more thing, editing the cart information. And this is removing the cart, okay, and adding the products and creating the coupon code, adding the customer, adding the voucher. There are different APIs they have provided in this document, but some APIs, they don't give you much description. So they have just put some empty stuff. Okay. So this is the URL. And every API request requires some API token. Okay, every request is requires some API token. That's the most important thing. But first time, for first API, we have to generate the token by passing username and API key. So many APIs are there. So let us try to test some APIs from this list. And I have picked 5 APIs mainly. One is for creating the session. That's a main thing which we required to generate the token. And the second thing is how we can add product to the cart. That is one API. And the second thing is, third thing is, once you add product to the cart, then we can update the cart, like by adding more number of products or quantity, we can increase something like that. That is called editing the cart. And then suppose if whatever products we have already added to the cart, then if you want to remove them, so we can just remove those products. So these are the API requests we are going to test. So this is a Postman document, which is published yesterday. So this is a document created by me and which is already published. You can also refer this particular document. So here, the first part is create session or token. This is my first post request we have to send. In this post request, we have to use username and the API key. So these two things we should get it from the admin. Guys, font is visible, or should I increase? Let me try to increase. Okay. Okay, this is the first request. So you need to replace this IP address with your own IP address, and rest of the URL is exactly the same. So the username is demo I'm using. This is my key, which is generated in my admin. So you have to use your own key and your own username. And these details, we can get it from the admin. Okay, and this is a curl, and they have generated. If you want to import this in your Postman, you can just import this curl directly into your Postman. Then you will get the request. And the next one is add product to the cart. Adding product to the cart. So the first API, we don't have any kind of authentication. The only thing is the username and API key. By using these two, we have to generate the token. So from the second onwards, we need an authentication. So the token we have to pass. Bearer token authentication is required. And the token we will generate in the first request. So here, this is the request URL, adding product to the cart. And authorization is API key. That is called bearer token, API key. So key value we have to pass. Key in the sense what? And this is a API token value. So to add product to the cart, we have to pass something called key and also value. And in the body section, we have to pass product ID and quantity. Okay, so these are the two things which we have to pass along with the body, and then it will add a product to the cart. So again, this product ID and quantity. So this information we have to know, product ID and quantity. Okay, so I'll show you how to get the product IDs and quantities once you start executing. So this is a cart content. Okay, if you open this, if you send this request before posting before adding product to the cart, just if you send this request, this will give you all the products information which are currently available in your store. So from those products, we can capture the product ID and that we can use it here. And this is a URL to display the cart content, like how many products and how many quantities we have added to the cart. So that information will be displayed by this URL. So again, here we have to pass some key and API token and product ID. So product ID, we have to pass accordingly. The cart product information will be displayed. Then edit product quantity in cart. So this is for editing. Suppose, let us say I have already added some product to the cart. Then I want to edit the product. So I can add some quantity or I can change some quantity of the product. So then here you can just specify the cart ID. So every cart is having some ID. So from this content cart, we have to capture the cart ID, and that cart ID we will use to edit that cart. Okay, so we have to pass that cart ID key and how much quantity we have to update. So previously the quantity is, we specify some quantity, and here we have to update that quantity with some number, and we will check whether it's updated or not. And finally, we can remove the product from the cart. So for that, we have to send this URL. And again, this is required, the token and also key. So what actually this key is, this is a itself is a token. So this key I'm using here. I'll show you practically. So this is the cart ID key. And we need to pass this cart ID, and then only the cart will be removed. Okay, so this key is different. This one is different. So this is a part of request parameter, and this is the part of request body. Okay, this is the value of the cart. And to authenticate this API, we have to pass this information, authorization information. Okay, so this is a documentation of OpenCart REST API cart module. So we are dealing with only one single module. There are other module APIs also available, but we need to buy them. So they are not completely free. Okay, but they have given some sample APIs to explore the functionality. So we are using those APIs for testing. Okay, so this is OpenCart REST API cart module. Fine. So now we need to test these APIs in your Postman tool. But initially you don't have this document, because after I have tested all my APIs, I have created this documentation. So initially you do not have this documentation. After creation of your collection, after execution is completed, then this documentation will be created. So at the time of creating the APIs and testing, we have to depend on the static document, or if the Swagger is available, so we need to depend on the Swagger document. Okay. So basically they have given this script in Python format. So this is a Python format. Okay, so they have not given any other language. This is a Python format. So we can easily identify what is the URL, what are the parameters required, what is the data required. So we can easily identify in this code. And they also given some description for every API request. Okay, so now let me show you the flow, how we are going to test these APIs. Let me open another document. So we already created API user. After logging into administrator, go to users API. And this is my API key, which is already created. And also I have added IP address on my admin. So now we can see the workflow of the APIs, and the same workflow we are going to implement. Okay, so first of all, here we have multiple types of APIs. So where we have to start. So as the first step, we have to create a token or session. Okay, first of all, we have to create a token or session. This is my first step. So this is my first step. We have to create a token or session creation. And for this, what is the input is required? Username and key. So these are the inputs are required to send this request. And what is the username we have to use? The username which is created in administrator application. I have created one demo user, right? So that I'm going to use. And whatever the API key which is generated, and also I'm going to use that particular key. So these are the two inputs are required to create a session or to create a token. And this particular request will send you the token, key token will be written. And this token we have to use for authentication, all other requests, even adding product to the cart or getting the content from the cart, or editing edit cart in content or delete cart content. So all these required this token authentication. Okay, and that particular token we have to generate by the first request, token or session creation. So now the first request here is add product to the cart. So to send this request, and all of them are post request, and this one is this is a get request, this is the put request, and this is the delete request. This one is again post request. So add product to cart. So to add product to the cart, we should know product ID and how many products we want to add, how much quantity we should add. So these are the two parameters we have to pass as part of request body to the API request. So once executed this, okay, and this will return some confirmation message like your cart is updated successfully. That's the only message which will return, that we have to validate. And after completion of this request, once we add product to the cart, then we can display the product is added to the cart or not. So then we will run one more request called get cart content. So when you send this request, what is an input for this API now? The product information. So whatever product we have added to the cart, that product information is an input for the get cart content. Actually, it is not taking any input. This is the flow. This arrow is representing the flow, one after another. Okay, and add product to the cart. This particular API request will just give you confirmation message whether your product is added or not, but it will not display any product information. It will just give the confirmation message. So that we have to validate, and we don't need to take any input from this API to the next API, but the next API get cart content. This is required product ID and cart ID. Okay, product ID, cart ID. So if you pass the, product ID is required. So if you pass the product ID, that will display the product information. What are the products you have added to the cart? So that information will be displayed. From that information, we have to capture the cart ID. So what is the input it will take? It will take product ID as a input, and it will return cart ID. So every cart is having some ID that will be written by this API. So when I execute this get cart content, so which will take product ID as an input, and it will return cart ID as an output. So this cart ID, so this product ID, again, we will create a collection variable. So these are all collection variables we will create automatically. Okay, we will generate them. So this particular API request will get the product ID as an input. It will return cart ID as an output, and which will consider as a key actually. So they are calling this cart ID as a key. And don't confuse by seeing multiple keys here. So this username and key is different here. This cart ID key is different. So the next request we have to do edit cart content. So to edit cart content, this cart ID, we should pass an input. This is called chaining here. Product ID, it will return cart ID. Again, cart ID becomes the input for the next request. And this will, this is edit cart content. So it will take same cart ID and edit the cart content. And how we will edit the cart content? By changing the quantity. Okay, but here we will give some quantity. Here we will say if we give 2 here, and here you will edit with the 5 or 6 or something like this. That's called editing the cart content. And after editing the cart content, then by using the same cart ID, we can delete the cart content. So this is the complete flow of cart request. So adding product to the cart, get the content from the cart, edit cart content, and delete cart content. So this is a complete flow. So now what are our variables we have to create as an environment, as a collection variables or environment variables? So first of all, this product ID and quantity. So these two we will create as an environment variable, collection variable or environment variable, whatever. So we will create these variables, and product ID is already part of here. And whatever the cart ID which is returning, that cart ID also we will create as an environment variable. Dynamically, we can create at runtime. And we will get this cart ID at the runtime and use it as an input, use it as an input to the edit cart content. And the quantity, we will take it from here. And this quantity we don't use because here we will hardcode some value, but here we will change the value. And same cart ID we will use to delete the content. So how many variables we will create now? So this username, key, product ID, quantity, cart ID, and this token also we will create a variable. And these variables we will create on the fly. So we will create at the runtime. We don't create anything initially. Okay. So this is the actual workflow of API request. So now let us go to the Postman tool and create multiple requests, and we will see how we will create requests, how we will create environment variables or collection variables, and how we can pass the parameters to every request, and how we can create a chaining process, and what kind of test we have to add, pre-request we have to add. So many things are there. So let's go and discuss them. Clear everything. Now go to the Postman tool. Let me open my Postman. Okay, so this is my Postman tool. Now let me just, I already created that collection and API request. So let me just go through them. I will share this collection directly to you so you guys can import. So here I have open cart, REST API, cart module. Let me expand this. So totally 3, 4, 5 requests I've created. The first one is for creating session or token. Next one, add product to the cart. Next one, add content, edit product quantity in cart, remove product from cart. So these are 3, 4, 5 requests I've created. Now let me just go to one by one. So create session token. And as per our requirement, what is input for this? Username and key we have to pass. Then it will generate the key token. So go back to the first request and try to understand this. Guys, can you see my screen? Can you see my Postman? Is it visible? So I already told you how to create a demo user in administrator. So please go through the document. How to create an admin user, guys? So I already shown you just now. Just go to your administrator application. Sorry. A localhost / open card upload admin. Okay, so you need to go to admin. So we need to log into admin. So click on admin, then log into the application and go to system. So go to system and users, API. Okay, here we need to click on add button. By default, you will see default user. You don't see these two users. Click on plus button. Here you have to provide username. Let me create one more user, demo3. And how to create this API key? Click on the generate and it will automatically create an API key. Then enable it. Then after that, go to IP address and here click on the plus button. So here you have to pass your IP and then save it. Okay, now user will be created. So this particular user and API key also, whatever API key we generated, this you have to note down them in Notepad or somewhere, then you have to use it. Okay, so guys, this one is clear to everyone. So please confirm in the chat window. Again, I don't want to go back here. So we will see the request now. How to create an admin user, API user in administrator application. Okay, so now I'm closing this administrator. We don't need to do anything with this. Let me close this. Yeah, so now see the first request, which is create a session or token. Right, so if I just look at the documentation, what is the input for this? Username and key, API key. So these two, we get it from the administrator, right? So now go back to the request and here I created some collection variables, default collection variables. Go back to create and you can see IP address and base URL. So these two we have to create manually, and rest of all the other information we will generate at the randomly at the runtime. So here IP address, it will not be constant most of the time. So you can change this IP address. So this IP address, I created one variable and base URL. So what is the request? Base URL is nothing but what? In every request URL, there will be some common thing. Okay, for every request URL, there will be some common thing that is called base URL. So if you just look at the documentation, see here. So this is the base URL they have given for this. Okay, let me just copy these base URLs and show you what is exactly they are. And let us try to copy every request. Okay, this is the one more request. Okay, and this is a one more request. So if I just look at this every request URL, there is something common in every URL, right? What is that common? Till here, till this part, everything is common, right? This part is everything is common. So instead of copying this entire thing in every request, I just create this part as part of your variable that I call as a base URL. So I create one variable called base URL equal to this one. So this is my base URL. Okay, and what I can do now in the request, you don't need to specify this entire thing. Instead of that, what you can do, this base URL, we can replace here. Remove this we can pass that base URL as a parameter. Okay. So this is how we can do. Even equal to is also part of the base URL. You can just remove this. So like this, we can just replace this entire URL with the base URL. So this is the advantage of creating that variable. Okay. And one more thing, why I have created IP? Actually, this part is called IP address. So this is a here. What is the URL we used? 1 second. Okay. So here, if I just go to the collection variables, and this IP address we have to use as part of URL. So actually, this is a let me copy one request URL. Because we are accessing our local APIs, the URL will be different. Okay, so I think this is the one. So this particular domain you have to replace with your local host or your IP address. Okay, this is your IP address actually. So we have to replace with IP address. 1 second. HTTP here. This one you have to specify your IP address. Okay, then this will become your URL. So now if you observe here, in the base URL, this is the actual base URL. Why we created this? Because this URL is common for every request. Okay. Now this IP address also keeps changing. So this IP address in your machine, you will have some IP address, others will have some IP address, and mine is having some different IP address. So you can just make this also different parameter. So now what I have done is I have created one more variable called IP equal to some IP address, something like this. And then have passed this IP here as a parameter. You got my point, guys? So in the same collection variable, I have passed this variable value in another variable. Okay, I have passed this variable value in another variable value. That's how I have done, because this IP also keeps changing. If your IP is changing, then again we have to modify this one. Instead of doing it, I can just separate, can create another variable which will maintain the IP address, and the same IP address I'm referring in the URL. So now this base URL we have to use in every request. Okay, this particular base URL we have to use in every request. So this is the way we have to achieve the reusability. So instead of hard coding everything in everywhere, we can simply create a variables. These two variables, rest of the variables will dynamically create at the runtime. But these are the only two variables we have to create before sending the request. Okay. So now go back to the collection now. Variables. So IP I created. This is my current IP. And suppose tomorrow if IP is got changed, you don't need to change the base URL. Just to change only IP address. Okay. Everything will be taken care of. So this IP again I'm passing in the second variable, base URL. These are only two variables which we have to create. Manually we have to create. All right, so now let us see the request. Go to the request, and here I'm referring the base URL. And what is the endpoint of this? API/login. API/login. So this is the endpoint. This will create the token actually. Okay. So API/login. So I'm sending this endpoint API/login. And what is the body of this body of this request? Username and also key we have to pass. Actually, we should not refer this. They have given some incorrect information in the document, guys. Actually, this is the endpoint, and we have to send this one. Actually, this is the body. For this, they have not given any endpoint actually. So here they have given this URL, right? This is a different URL. This is not matching with this one. So you have to use this endpoint, and you have to use this as a body. So endpoint is API/login, and what is the information we have to pass here? Username and the key which is captured from the admin. So these are the two things we have to pass along with the body. Then it will generate the token for us. So go back to the Postman, and here we have to take something called form data, form-data. So here we have to pass username and key. These are the two parameters, and username is what? Demo I'm using, Key is this one. This is generated at the admin application that we have to copy directly here. This is the key. So you have to create these values, username and key. This is a body section, and we don't need to pass anything in the raw and JSON, nothing, not required. You can directly pass here as a parameters. Username, and this is the key. And we don't need any authorization for this, because once it is generated the token, and that particular token we will use as authorization for rest of the request. So this is simple body, username and key. And what are the tests we have created here? Go to the test section. And as I said, this will return the token for us. This will return the token, or session ID will be created. And if I just go to the test tag, so here I have added some validation points. So one is I'm verifying the status code. Okay. And the second thing is we will get something called in the body section, we will have this message, API session successfully started. So you will get this message along with the token. So this message I'm validating from the JSON response, and the token we have to use for other request. So whatever the token which is generated from this request, that token I will create as a collection variable. So API underscore token underscore val, this is my collection variable name. And what is the value of this token? That I'm taking from the request. Okay, that I'm taking from the request. Okay, so this is a test. These are the tests we have to add. Okay, we have to add this test. Okay, so in their documentation, they have given the Python code here. This is a Python code they have given, and we should not directly pass this in the body. Okay, they are said data, username is username, and the key is key. So we have to create them as part of form data. Okay, we have to take the form data. So this is the one, form hyphen data. So this one we have to use. Okay, and this will generate the token. It will just for generating the token. First request. Okay, again, you guys should not go back, guys. We already discussed them. And again, people are asking the same thing. So we are discussing about this part. Okay, we are discussing about this part. Once the token is generated, then we will discuss these request, 4 type of request by using the token. So currently, whatever request I'm explaining, that is for creating the token or creating the session. That particular token we will use for authentication for rest of the request. Okay, so now go back to the Postman. So username and key. And what are the tests we have added? The first test is for status code validation. Second is for getting the JSON response into the variable. And I'm using this variable here. And this JSON response contains two things actually. Let me just run this and show you. So I'm running this request. I'm sending this request. Okay, now you can see the response body. So I got one success message, and also have got some API token. So we have to validate this success message, and we have to capture this token and create a collection variable so that I can use that for other request, because this token is required for other request. Okay, so how we can verify this message? This is a JSON response. So I capture the JSON response data in the variable. Now here I'm checking the success message. I created one arrow function. Inside this, what I'm expecting here, pm.expect the JSON data dot success. Success is a field here. In the JSON data, there is a field called success. And this success value should be what? This one. This is a value. So I'm just checking that value is correct or not. The success field having this value or not, I'm checking. Equal to this or not, I'm checking. This is a validation. And what about the token here? This token we have to use for further request. So we need to create an environment variable for this token. So for that, I have added one more statement. pm.collection variables.set API token val. This is my variable name. And this value how to capture from the response. How to capture this value from the response? From the JSON data dot API underscore token. So when I pass this, this will return the API token value that I'm going to create as a collection variable. So these are the tests we have added. One is 200 is status code. And then I'm validating the response message. And then I'm creating the collection variable for API token so that I can use it in another request. Okay, so this is a test. So body and test, we have captured the token. So once I have already executed this request, right? Now we will see whether token is created as a variable or not. Now go to the collection. Now go to the variable section. Earlier, how many variables we have? Only two variables. One is IP, the other one is base URL. Now, if I just look at the variables, API token value also created. This is the token which is created. As soon as you run the first request, the token is got created. So now we will refer this token in another request. Okay. So guys, are you clear about the first request? How to create the token? Okay. So this is the one. So again, this everything is part of the document. That's what I'm saying from the beginning. So how we will know what to test, how we will know the success message will come or not, how we will know API token come or not. These all things will be part of the document only. You have to refer the document, then only you have to explore. As I said many times, you will have a static document, you will have a Swagger document. In these documents, somewhere this information will be available. You have to first explore these APIs in the Swagger or in the static document. And once you understand, then you start creating the request. You don't directly jump to create the request. That's what I'm saying. Okay, don't directly jump here and create the request. First, thoroughly understand the document, understand what is the request type, understand what kind of request body we have to send, what kind of response it will give you, what kind of status code it will give you. So first you need to thoroughly understand this information and write the test cases for them, and then start writing the request here, start creating the request in the Postman, and don't directly jump it here. Okay, so how we will know all these things? Only through documentation. There is no other source. Either it can be static document or it can be Swagger document. Okay, so multiple times I have told you this. Again, don't repeat the same question. See, I have verifying the status code here, and then I have verified the success message. Then I have captured this token and then created as a collection variable. So is it clear so far, everyone? So please confirm in the chat window. This part is clear. So first request, how to create the session or token is clear. Yes. So once it is done, so we can just close this. Now let us go to the next request. Add product to the cart. Now again, go to the flow diagram. So the first request, add product to the cart. So what is the input we required here? Whenever you want to add some product to the cart, we have to pass product ID and how much quantity you want to add. So these are the two details which we have to pass. Okay. And again, this product ID is required for get content also. Okay. This product ID is required to get the content in the next request. So we will create them as environment variables, product ID and quantity. Now let me show you how we have to send that request. Add product to the cart. Okay, so now I'm referring the base URL. What is the endpoint? API/cart/add. That is an endpoint. Now look at the documentation again. Adding cart. Yeah, this is the API. So API/cart-/add. This is the endpoint. So this will add the request to the cart. And what are the things they have provided? This is the URL. And the API token we have to pass as a parameter, and product ID and quantity. So product ID, quantity is actually data. And API token, whatever we generated, that we will use as part of authentication. And this is the request URL. And what is the data we have to pass? Product ID and some quantity we have to pass. So now go back to the request. So here, this is my post request. Now look at the parameters first. So here, API_token. I'm referring the variable. So this API token value, right? This is environment variable which we created in the first request. So here I'm creating one variable called API, because these are all fixed variables. These names we have to use exactly the similar way. See here, they have using API_token is this one. So API_token is an exact key actually. Okay. So that key we cannot change. So API_token and where you have stored that value in the collection variable. So we are referring that collection variable here. And this one we have to use as part of authentication. So now go to authorization here, select the API key, and here we have to pass it. The same thing actually, if you do here, it will automatically add here. And if you add here, this will automatically add authorization. So you no need to add this parameter actually. You can directly go to authorization, select the API key, and the key is API underscore token. And this value we are referring from the environment variable. And here we need to add to query parameter. So here we can select a query parameter. As soon as you have done this, the same thing will be added to the parameter section. Here it will be added. This is read only here. Okay. So authorization. Once you add this authorization key, this will automatically add into the parameters. Now the body section. Now go to the body section. So what are the things we have to pass here? Product ID and the quantity. So again, this product ID quantity, this product ID and the quantity, where we will get this product ID and quantity. Product ID and quantity. So this product ID is again created as a collection variable, and this is a quantity, but we have not created these two as a collection variables. Currently we see we have only one token ID is there. Token ID we have captured from the first request. We don't have a product ID in quantity. So that we have to generate. So if I just go to the pre-request script, before sending the request itself, we have to generate product ID and the quantity. So now go to the pre-request script. Here we have generated. So at the runtime, we created this. So pm.collection variables.set product ID is equal to 40 I have given, and the collection variable.set equal to quantity equal to 2. So these are the 2 I have given. Okay, so how we will get this product ID? So we have to use the products IDs which are already available in the store. Okay, so you should not use any other product IDs. So this information, again, you can get it from the database. You can just look at here, they will provide information. See here in the description, they have provided from where we can get the product ID. So the product ID from table OC underscore cart. So if we just connect to the database of this open cart, there you can see one table called OC underscore cart. So actually all products information will be displayed here, OC underscore cart. From there, you can capture the product ID, or in administrator application also, we can find the product IDs. So if I just go to the admin application, okay, I can say localhost / upload / admin. You can just go to administrator application, admin. You can get 1 or 2 product IDs for our testing. So you can just go here, catalog and products, go to the product section, and these are the products actually. So a product image, product name, all these things are available. You can just click on this action. Okay, somewhere the product ID should be displayed. Go to data. Can you see somewhere the product ID here? Okay, I don't think so. Somewhere it will be displayed here in the UI, the product ID. If you're not able to see here, you can just go and connect to the database. So how to connect to the database? We have a database URL, right? You can just go to OpenCard, and we have a database URL. So you can just go to this document. While creating the database, we have used one URL. You guys have remember? Yeah, this is the database actually. So what is the database access URL? This is the database access URL. Open it. And here you can just go to a table. So what is the table? The table name is OC underscore cart. Sorry, how to get the product? So OC underscore cart table. So go to the database. Yeah, this is my database, and go to OpenShop database here. OC underscore cart. This is my table here. Right. So in the OC underscore cart, here you should able to see the products actually. If I just expand this columns. So here there is a product ID column. I think currently nothing is there. So I think it is just giving the product information. 1 second. Okay, so this is a query we have to execute. Product ID, there is a column, but I just want to see the values. Okay, so here we have to execute. And this particular query we have to execute so that we will get the result here. I think it doesn't have any rows for now. Okay. So, okay, I think once we added the product, then this will show the product information, because we need to have some products available, because this is a demo application we have installed. I think some products are not available. Okay, let's see. Go to the request again. So usually this is a document, right? So this is a reference document we have to follow. So currently I'm just giving 40. If it is not working, then we will create another one. So here in the second request, add product to the cart. So while adding product to the cart, we have to specify the product ID. And then we should say quantity, how much quantity you want to add. So these two I'm creating as environment variable, collection variables, so that I can use same product ID in the upcoming request. So to display the cart content, edit, remove, also we use same product ID. Okay, so these two I'm creating before sending the request, because these two details we required, which are part of your request body. So before sending the request, so we should execute these two statements as part of pre-request script. And after completion of execution, after sending the request, what are the tests we have to conduct? Status code. Okay, status code we have to conduct. And again, in the response, we will get the same message. You have modified your shopping cart. This is the message you will get in the response. So this message we will validate. So do you want to create any other collection variable here? Not required. Not required, because in the pre-request script itself, we created product ID and quantity. So in the response, we just verify status code, and after that message. Okay, so let's try to execute this request now. Click on send. Yeah, so now it is saying you have modified your cart. Okay, means what? It is successfully added this product to the cart. Okay, now in the test tab, do you have created any environment where any collection variable here? No, nothing is created. So this pre-request script, we created two collection variables. Now we'll see whether these two are created or not. Go to collection. Now we can see here product ID and the quantities got created. Okay, so these two are created. These two are created from my request, add product to cart. So this is the second request. So the first request, we have created the token, and then we created the token as a collection variable, and that is completed. Now in the second request, just a second. Yeah, in the second request, add product to the cart, we have created pre-request script where we specify product ID and quantity that is required to send this request. And in the test, we have verified the status code. Along with that, we are verifying the success message. This is the second request. Okay, I'm just saving it. So now second request is also successfully done. So what is the next request? Cart content. Now go back and see the cart content. But somehow I'm not able to see anything in the database. Yeah, you can see here, now it is created. This OC underscore cart is having some product information. So you can see here, this is a cart ID. This is a product ID, which is added. Okay, as soon as you send the request, then we got the data here. Okay, so we don't need, and cart ID, we will again get it from the response. We don't need any database now. We can just close this. All right, so the first request, we have successfully sent add product to the cart. And product ID, quantity, these two we created as a collection variables. So now let's go to the next request. The next request is what? Get cart content. So the next request is cart content. So cart content, what is the request we need here? Product ID we required. So we have to pass product ID to the cart content, then which will return cart ID. So this cart ID we have to capture. That will be used for the next request. So now what we have to do? This product ID we already created as a variable. Collection variable we already created, so we can refer this. But what about the cart ID? Once this is send the response, from the response we have to extract the cart ID and create one more variable for cart ID. So go to the Postman and see the request cart content. So in the cart content, first look at the URL. So API cart product. So this is the endpoint, and I'm referring the base URL. And go to authorization. Again, I've selected API key here, and API underscore token is a key, and this value I'm getting from the variable. So go to the body section. In the body section, we have to pass just product ID. Only product ID we require as an input. Only product ID we require as an input. And this product ID we already created, right, in the environment variable. In the first, in the second request, in the pre-request script, here we created product ID. So product ID we already created. The same thing I'm referring here in the cart content. So whichever product we have added to the cart, the same product I just want to display from the cart. So in the cart may have n number of products, but whichever product I have added to the cart, the same product I want to display from the cart. So we have to specify the same product ID. So whatever product ID we created in the previous request, the same product ID I'm referring here as part of your body. Again, we have to take form-data. Okay, so product ID and product here. So product underscore ID, and this is the product ID we are taking from the environment variable. So this is the body actually. So the body means the body contains the different formats. So body means what? Sometimes we can use form data. Sometimes we can use raw and JSON format. Sometimes we can GraphQL or binary. So these are all different body types. And especially this particular API will support form-data type of body. So this will support it. So that's the reason I'm not specifying this inside the body. Okay, raw JSON normally we will take, right? So inside that it is not supporting. So that's the reason we are taking here form-data. This is also one type of body. But if our API is supported, then you can take raw here and select the JSON format and paste this in the body itself. If you have a JSON type of request, because we have a single fields right here. So if you have a single fields, most of the times we prefer to use form data. If you have a multiple fields to send, then most of the times we prefer to use raw and JSON. Okay, so that's the reason here this API is supporting form data parameters. So form data type of body. So I can say product type underscore ID. This is the variable, and the value I'm getting from the collection variable. And what are the tests we have added here? Status code is 200, and this will return the cart ID. Okay, let me run the request now. So when you send this request, now you can see this is the response you got. So what are all products are added to the cart? So these are information it is giving. This is the product ID is 40, right? So this is the same product we have added. So this is the content in the response. So now what are the validations we can do here? Status code I'm validating, which is 200. And if you still want to validate some other information from this, you can still validate, no problem. And the next thing is this cart ID is required for another request. For edit product or remove product, the cart ID is required. So it is nothing but edit product means what? Remove product means what? Editing product quantity in the cart. Similarly, remove product from the cart. So in which cart we have added the product, from which cart we have to delete the cart. So that information we need. So cart ID is required. So from this response, we have to extract this cart ID and create this cart ID as a collection variable. So for that, I have written this JSON.parse response body, got the response JSON data here. And from this JSON data, where exactly this cart ID is present? Inside the products, cart ID is present. If you want to extract this value, how we can write JSON path? JSON path. So if you don't know how to write a JSON path, simply copy this JSON and use JSON finder, JSON path finder, and go to here and paste your JSON file here, JSON content, and which one you want to capture? Cart ID. So you can just go to the products here and here cart ID. So select this cart ID. This will generate the JSON path. So you can just ignore this X. So you have to capture only this one. This is our JSON path. So this will give you the value. So the same thing we have used here. So JSON path, the products of 0 dot cart of ID. So this will give you the cart ID. And by using that value, I'm creating the collection variable, which is cart ID key. And this we will use for rest of the two requests. Okay, so this is a cart content. Display the product from the cart. So we have to pass the product as a parameter, product ID as a parameter, and which is already created in the previous request. And from the response, we verifying status code. And also we are capturing the cart ID and create that cart ID as a collection variable. So this is a script which we have created. So is this clear to everyone? So this is a cart content. So when you pass a product ID, that will display the product information which is there in the cart. Okay, this is a content display, cart content displayed. Third request. Next one is what? Edit cart content. So to edit cart content, what is required? We need cart ID. And here we call this cart ID is also key. So cart ID is required. And while editing that product, what we have to edit, what we have to modify. Let us try to modify the quantity. Okay. So to edit the cart content, what is an input we required? We have to know which cart we have to edit. So the cart ID we have to get. And quantity we have to modify. So this modification we have to do in the body. So these two things are required. Okay. So in the previous request, we already captured this cart ID. And after I already run this request, now go to the collection variable and see whether cart ID is generated or not. Yes. So cart ID, it is not captured. I think we have not executed, right? So go to the cart content. And in the test, we have to capture this cart ID. So let's try to execute this request now. Yeah, now it is executed. So in the variables, you can just look at here where it is created cart ID. Environment variable. Sorry, it is not collection variable. It is environment variable which is created. So now go to the environment variable here. Right. So here you can see cart ID. So what is the cart ID? 7 it is created. Okay, so you can also create this as a collection variable. Just try to create a collection variable, but somehow I have some other variables. There will be some conflict yesterday. So I have created with the environment variable. Okay, so you can still create a collection variable. If it does not work, then create an first try to create a collection variable. If not work, then create as an environment variable. Anything is fine, because anyway we are going to delete all the variables at the last request. Okay, so next go to the next request. Edit product quantity in the cart. Now again see the flow diagram. So edit cart content. So to edit the cart content, we need a cart ID, and that we already created as an environment variable. From there, we will capture it. And quantity, we have to specify as part of your body. So previously, how much quantity we have added? Do you guys remember how much quantity we have added previously in the first request? How much quantity we have added in the first request? In the first request, how much quantity we have added? 2 we have added. 2. Okay, now we need to modify that. So go to edit product quantity in the cart. So this is the base URL and this is the endpoint API/cart/edit. Right? In this authorization, anyway, API key we have to select API underscore token. This is the value. And go to the body section. Again, I no need to discuss the parameters, okay, params, because as soon as we have added this authorization here, that will automatically comes under params. But you need to select the query params here, most important, okay. So go to the body section now. So we have to pass cart ID. And here, they are calling cart ID is also key. If I look at the documentation, just a moment. Okay. Okay, so if I just look at the documentation, right? So cart edit. So if you want to edit, we have to specify the cart ID. Okay, so you can just look at here. This is the URL. They are sending we API token anyway, we are passed. So what is the data contains a key and a quantity. Okay, if I just look at the documentation previously, they have used key somewhere here. That key is different. So here the key is what? API key, which is generated in the admin. To generate the token, we have to use that key. But here they are also calling cart ID is also key. Okay, so you can just look at here. Key is nothing but what? Cart ID from table OC_cart. So from this table, they're getting the cart ID. So that they are referring with the key. So that is we specified here everywhere. So cart ID is from table OC_cart they specified. So we can consider cart ID as a key. So that's the reason I have created like this. So key is a variable and cart ID we have to refer from the environment variable. And this time I'm updating quantity as a 5. Previously it was 2. Now it becomes 5. So this is the body section. Now I don't have any prerequisite script. Now directly go to the tester tab. And in the tester tab, my status code is 200. And what's the validation is? Response validation. So again, we'll get the same message in the response. Success, you have modified your shopping cart. So this is a message you want to validate. So do you want to get any output from this? Nothing, right? So edit, it is just editing part. So in editing part, we don't need anything. So edit the content. In the response, we will see the quantity is updated or not. So once you edit the cart content, the cart is got edited. So the quantities got edited. Again, if you want to check the quantities got updated or not, then you can again rerun the cart content request. If you run this again, you will be able to see whether the quantity is updated or not. But anyway, we are verifying the message, response message here. That is enough. So this is edit cart content. Okay, let me just run the script now. And here we are not creating any collection variables or environment variables because cart ID is already available. So I'm just using that cart ID here in the body section. So let's try to execute. Okay, now this is the only response you got. You have modified your shopping cart. Okay, so this request is successfully done. And if you still want to check whether quantity is updated or not, then go to cart content request and then execute this. So this will give you the quantity. You can see quantity is got updated 5 for the same product, which is 40. Okay, so now edit is also done. So the last one is what? Remove product from the cart. Go to this request. So if I look at the documentation, again, flow, what are the things we require to delete the cart content? Just provide the cart ID. Cart ID is a parameter. We already created that as an environment variable. So you can just refer the cart ID to delete the cart content. Now go back. And here, this is the endpoint API/cart/remove. And authorization parameters are same. Go to body section. And here we will specify the cart ID. So which cart we want to delete. Key is cart ID. This environment variable we are getting. And what are the tests we have to do here? Status code I'm verifying. Response message also I'm verifying. So in the response, again, we will get the same message. You have modified your shopping cart. So this is a message you will get in the response. So we are validating. And this is the last request. So we will delete all the variables which we have created. Collection variable API token I'm deleting. Product ID I'm deleting. Quantity also we are deleting. 3 variables I'm deleting. So do you have anything else to delete here? Do we have anything else to delete apart from these 3? Token, product ID, these are 3 are collection variables. And also we created one environment variable, right? So that also we have to delete. One environment variable, cart ID key also there. So that also we have to delete. So let me delete that also. PM dot environment dot unset of cart ID. So this will also going to delete. Then save it. So this is our last request. So now let us try to execute now. Okay, success. You have modified your shopping cart. Okay, so everything is done. So there is no data in the shopping cart. Now, if you want to check again, go to cart content. Now execute. Error. So why it is error? Because you do not have a permission to access the API it is giving, because that is already deleted. Everything is we got deleted, right? The variables, token ID, cart ID, everything we got deleted. So it is just giving an authentication error. But before deleting the variables, if you execute this, which will give you no product found in the cart. So that's a message he will get. Okay, so this is how we have to create multiple API requests. And first we have to identify the flow. Then we have to identify what are the requests and what is the response you will get. And if there is any dependency, we have to create the chaining process between these API requests. And whenever it is needed, we have to create collection variables and environment variables. And then we have to add pre-request script if it is needed. And for every request, we have to add some test validations. And then we should be able to create a collection like this. So this is the process, guys. This is how we need to understand the document and understand the flow, understand what is the request response we will get, understand what is the chaining process between what is the dependency and what are the different variables we have to create, and then start creating the request in the Postman. Okay, so this is how we need to do it. Okay, so basically these are all post requests, guys. They have not provided any delete request or put request. So everything is a post request. So these APIs, they have given everything as a post request. So in this, we do not have delete request and put request. Even they are deleting or removing the product from the cart using post request. So not from the delete request, not by using put request. Even they are editing the product information by sending post request. Okay, but not using put request. It depends how the APIs got designed. Okay, so depends on the document requirement. We have to use proper request, and we should not decide whether post request, get request and all. So they have to provide this information accordingly. We have to select. Okay, so sometimes it will be like this. Even though we are deleting the product, it may not be delete request. By using post request, sometimes we can do it. So same thing they have done in this API. Okay, so now let's move on to the next one. So we have successfully created a collection. We have successfully created all the requests and we successfully executed individual requests. Now let me just execute the whole thing as one shot. I'm just going to run this collection, entire collection in one shot. So let's see how it is going to work. So now I'm selecting the collection, 3 dots, and click on run collection. And I'm trying to execute all the collection. Then say click on run button. So again, it will create a new token. Every run, it will create a new token. So you can just look at here. In every request, all my validations are got passed. In every request, all my validations got passed. And if I click on the view results here, so you will see the detailed results in the Postman. So this is inbuilt feature which is available in the Postman. After execution of collection, you can see the results. Okay, but now we will see how we can execute this collection in the command prompt in the remote environment, and how we can generate the HTML report. So that's the most important thing. Okay, once you created your project, so that's the main important thing which we have to achieve. So this is the Postman results, inbuilt results. So now we have to create our own HTML reports after running your collection. So now we will see how many ways we can run the collection. That's the next topic. How many ways? How many ways we can run collection? And this is the last important topic. Please listen this carefully. Very important. How many ways we can run the collection? So far, we are running the collection request, everything within your Postman tool, right? Within your Postman. But once the collection is ready, most of the times we will always run the collection. Okay. So how many ways we can run the collection? So we can run the collection in 3 different ways. One is we can run the collection locally. Run collection locally. Locally in the sense, we will use a command prompt. Through command prompt, we can run the collection. Okay. And the second method is what? We can run the collection. We can also run the shared collection. Okay, so let me show you one by one, then I'll try to write some notes. So first of all, let us see how we can run our collection in the command prompt. So to run the collection in the command prompt, we have to install something called newman component. Newman. This is one of the component available for the Node.js project. Okay, so we have to install this newman. So have you guys remembered at the first day, at the time of creating, if we want to create our own APIs, we have installed something, right? Node.js software we have installed, right? Node.js. If you want to create our own API, we have to first install Node.js. And along with the Node.js, we also got NPM, Node Package Manager. That component by default comes along with the Node.js. And that is required to create our own APIs. Now, if you want to run your collections in the command prompt, or if you want to generate the report, then we have to install another component called newman. This is a component which we have to install. Okay, newman component we have to install. And this component again related to Node.js. So to install this component, what are the prerequisites? You should have Node.js along with npm. I hope everybody is having these by the time, okay? Because initially we have already done this. So Node.js plus npm. So these two are the prerequisites to install newman component. Okay, if you install this, newman is one component, and there is one more component we should install to generate the report. That is called newman reporter HTML. Newman reporter HTML. So this is another component. So these are the two additional components which we have to install by using Node.js. Then we will able to run our collection through command prompt, and also we will able to generate the HTML report. Okay. So again, these are all related to Node.js, but they will not come by default. NPM will come by default along with the Node.js. If you install Node.js, NPM by default, it will come. But these two components, it will not come along with the Node.js. So we have to install them. So we have installed JSON server, right? Similarly, we have to install these two components. So how to install these two components? So let me share a small document. So how to run the Postman collections. So I have step-by-step document I created. So I will share this document later. You can just follow the same thing. Okay, so what are the prerequisites I told you? So Node.js, you should install Node.js in the sense, even npm is also part of the Node.js. You don't need to bother about this. Then newman we have to install, and then we have to export the collection. So these are the prerequisites. To run the collection in the command prompt, we need to have Node.js. We should install a newman. Then we have to export the collection and get ready with that. If you have these three things, then you will be able to run the collection in the command prompt. So we already installed Node.js, right? In the first session, I told you how to install Node.js. So that is enough. If you already installed Node.js, that is enough. And if you want to cross check whether the Node.js is already there or not, you can just check the version number. Open the command prompt. So in the command prompt, we can just execute this command. Node.js, node, okay, node -version. If you execute this command, which will show you which version of Node.js which is installed on your machine. Sorry, let me execute one more time. -v, not a version, -v. So this will give you version number. That means you already have a Node.js. And additionally, what we need, newman, npm is also there, right? So we already install npm -version. So this will give you npm version. So both are there. So what else we need? We need to install newman. This is we need to install. How to install newman is, this is the command. So install newman. So this is a command, npm installed space -g space newman. So this is a command we have to execute to install newman. Anyway, I'll provide this document. You can just refer this. No need to put in the notes, but still I'm putting. So this is a command to install newman. So why we are installing this? Because we want to generate, we want to run our collection in the command prompt. and we want to generate the report. So to generate the report, we have to use, we have to install this one also. So newman installation, this is a command. To install newman reporter HTML, again, this is the same command. npm install newman reporter HTML. Okay, so npm install -g newman reporter HTML. So this is for installing newman component. This is for installing reporter HTML. And this is for running collection in the command prompt. And this is for generating the reporter. Okay, so these are the two commands we have to execute to get these two components. So two components are required to run collection in command prompt and generate report. So what are those two components? One is newman component. The second one is newman reporter HTML. To install these two components, prerequisite is what? Node.js npm you should have. So now to install these two components, these are the commands you have to execute. npm install -g newman, npm install -g newman reporter HTML. So here I have installed newman here. So once you install newman, so you will get some messages, warnings and everything. So you can just ignore them and it will successfully installed. So once it is done, now you are ready to run your collection. Next step is we have to export the collection, because to run the collection in the command prompt, we need the collection file. So how to get the collection file? We have to export it. So let me export this collection file. So this, how to export? Click on the three dots, select export, and select this version, recommended version, and then say export. So I'll keep this somewhere in the C drive or somewhere. So go to C drive, and here I'll create something, my collections, right? So here I'm saving this, click on the save. So I have uploaded my collection, and in the C drive, I have something else here. Let me just delete it. My collection newman. Okay, I'm just deleting. So I have only one collection in this location. So we need to export the collection and get ready with that. And this collection we will try to execute in the command prompt. So all prerequisites are done. So we have installed node.js, newman, and we have exported collection. So these three steps are executed here, and exported collection is also done. So the next thing is what? We need to run the collection. Okay, so we need to run the collection. So how to run the collection in the command prompt? How to run the collection in the command prompt? The first approach one. What is that approach one? Here we can run collection in command prompt. Okay, so to run the collection in the command prompt, just go to the location wherever you have uploaded your collection, open command prompt. Or else you can run this from anywhere, but you have to provide the complete path for your collection. Okay, so currently I'm in the collections location. So here I want to run my collection. So what is the command here? Newman run. Then we have to specify the collection name. What is the collection name here is? Open cart. So this is my collection name. So this is a command, newman run name of the collection. Whichever file we have uploaded or exported, the same file we have to specify. And then click on enter. Now it will start running your collection. Yes, it is successfully run. So you can just look at here. This is my first request. Both the tests are passed. Second request, tests are got passed. Similarly, it is executed all the requests. And you can see the complete tabular form of report here. So total iteration, only one round we have executed. Totally 5 requests we have executed. In 5 requests, totally we have added 10 test scripts and 6 pre-request scripts, and totally 9 assertions. And this is the complete report. Everything is got executed and passed. If there is any failure, it will give you in the fail section. Okay. So this is a way we can run the collection in the command prompt. And this is command line report. But I want to see everything in the HTML report. Okay, HTML report. So for that, what you have to do, we have to install this component. To get the HTML, we have to install this component. So with this newman component, we are just able to run the collection in the command prompt, but we can't generate the HTML report. So if we want to generate the HTML report, we should install this component by using this command, npm install -g newman reporter -html. So I already done here. Just a second. Okay, this is for newman installation. For reporter, for reporting purpose, we have to install another component. Yeah, I mentioned here. So run collections and generate HTML report. So we need to install newman reporter HTML to generate the HTML report. So open the command prompt and execute this. If you execute this here, so which will automatically install your HTML reporter. So this is required to generate the HTML file. Okay, so I will recreate this document again. I'll slightly modify this, but steps are not in the proper order. So just follow this order. So before running the collection in the command prompt, make sure you have nodejs and npm. Then install these two components by executing these two commands. Now I'm running the collection in the command prompt. In the command prompt, what is the command you have run? What is the command you have given here? To run the collection in the command prompt locally, we have given this command. So this is the command which we have given. So if you want to generate an HTML, then what you should do? The same command we have to give, but here at the end, we have to give one parameter called -r HTML, lowercase character, -r HTML. Same command. If you don't give this, HTML report will not be generated. If I give this option, HTML report will be generated. Okay. So now we have seen how to run the collection in the command prompt without report. Now I'm trying to execute this command to generate the report. So go to the same command prompt. So already reporter component also have installed. So let me just clear this. And now I'm executing the same command, but this time I'm giving -r HTML. This is the option I'm giving. So this time it will not give anything in the console window. It will automatically generate the report. So if you observe where it will generate the report, in the same location, from wherever you are running this command, in the same location, the report will be generated. Currently, this is my location. I don't have any report except this collection file. I don't have anything. So if I run this command, yes, it is executed. It will not show anything here. It is just executed. So let us see the report now. Go back to the same location. You can see a new folder called newman. This is the folder which is created. Open this folder. Now this is our HTML. Let us try to open the HTML in the browser. See here, this is your report. So it is a newman report, which collection we have executed, what time we have executed, which version of newman we used, and how many total iterations, how many are got failed. And this is a final summarized table, and this is the individual table. This is the first request we have sent. This is the method we sent. This is the URL we sent. And this is the time it is taken. And 2 tests we have included. Both are got passed. Status code is 200. So these are the test results. And this is a second request, add a product to the cart. So this is information which is given. This is a third one. And this is a fourth one. This is the last one. Okay. So this is the HTML report. Newman HTML report. So this is how we have to generate the report. Okay. So again, I'm repeating once again how to run our collections in the command prompt. For that, prerequisite is what? Node.js and npm. So this is already done earlier. So additionally, 2 more components are required. One is newman, other one is newman reporter HTML. And if you have these 2 components installed, then we will able to run our collection in the command prompt. We will able to generate the report. So once you install these 2, to install these 2 components, we have to execute these 2 commands. These are the commands. Okay. Commands to install above components. I'm clearly writing here. No confusion, right?
So commands to install above components. So to install these two components, we have to execute these two commands in your command prompt. Once it is done, now the first approach is run the collection in the command prompt without HTML, with a HTML report, two commands. Okay, this is the first approach. Now the second approach, we can also run the collection by using URL. By using URL. Suppose you have a collection in your local machine, you are only able to run the collection. Others cannot run your collection, right? Suppose in your team, some other guy want to run your collection. It is not possible. Why? Because your collection file is present inside your computer, inside your machine. So you will able to go to this location and you will able to run your own collection. But others want to run your collection. Then how it is possible? So that's the second approach. Approach 2. Run the collection. Okay. Run the collection remotely using URL. Okay. Using URL. So this is approach 2. Run the collection remotely using URL. So if you want to run the collection locally, you can simply browse the collection file and execute. Or if you want to run the collection remotely using URL, what we should do? So we have to create a URL for your collection. You have to create a URL for the collection. So how to create a URL for the collection? So to create a URL for the collection, you just click on these 3 dots. And here you have one option called share option. Share. Okay. Select this option. Not export. Export means what? The physical file will be exported on your machine. Share means what? It will share in the common location. So click on the share button here. And so for whom you want to share your collection. Or if you're working with the team, you have to provide the email addresses of the team here. Okay. Or else you can just go to via JSON link. This is the better option every time. So go to via JSON link. When you click on this, will be automatically generated one link here. You can see here, this is the link. Or if you want to generate a new link, you can just simply say update link. This will automatically generate a new link every time. Now copy this link, and this is the remote URL. This is the URL of your collection. So if I share this URL to anyone, can easily run the collection in their local environment. Okay. Now I have shared my collection. Now how to run this collection now? Suppose let us assume I have shared this collection to you. Now you have to execute this collection. How we will execute? You will open your own command prompt. You will open your own command prompt, right? So here you will just execute your collection. Again, the command is same. Command is same. No change in the command. Command is same. Instead of physical file, you will specify the URL. That's the only difference. I'm copying here. Same command, and with HTML, without HTML also you can run again. Because anyway, we have an HTML, just I'm passing that value. So instead of physical file here, you have to specify the URL which we shared. Copy this URL and then paste it over here. Okay, this is the one. So newman run URL of your collection -r HTML. Okay, so this is a command which you have to give to run the collection remotely by using URL. And where this HTML will be created, again in the same location, whichever location you created, in the same location. Let me delete the file. So execute now. So now my collection is executing along with the HTML report. Now it is executed. Now you can go back to the folder. You can see Newman folder is created. This HTML report is also created. So this is the another way of running your collection remotely by using shared link. Okay. So run collection in the command prompt locally. This is the locally. This is your local environment. And this is your remote environment. Remote environment means other than your machine. Other than your machine, you can run in any other machines. That's called remote. Okay. Right. So there is one more approach. Suppose if you want to run this collection in continuous integration environment, or in the Jenkins, you want to run this collection. Through Jenkins, also you can run the collection. So how to run the collection in the Jenkins? So again, I'm not going to explain about Jenkins more here. If you already know about it, fine. So how to run the collection in Jenkins? So Jenkins is a continuous integration tool, right? So where we can execute it. So let me start Jenkins, which is available on my local machine. So for that, what you can do is, I'll run my Jenkins through my war file. So in the C drive, I have Jenkins somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Let me open the command. So I'm just starting my Jenkins through war file. I have not installed complete Jenkins software. So whenever I need Jenkins, I will just run the jar file. It will start Jenkins, and whenever I want to stop Jenkins, I can stop closing the screen. So how to start Jenkins here? To start the Jenkins, we have to execute one command, java-jar jenkins.var. This is the command. Okay, so I have some different version of Java, so it is giving some errors. So I have to add this flag. So execute the same command by adding this particular flag. Okay, if you are getting this error, so just do it, or else you can just continue as usual. Copy. Okay, so here I'm pasting it. Okay, let me just write. So -, enable -future -java. Okay, this is the command I'm giving. So this will start running your Jenkins on your local machine. So once it is started your Jenkins, so then let me start opening my Jenkins software. So you need to wait till it is started and up and running. Yeah, now Jenkins is fully up and running. So you need to minimize the screen, don't close. So now let me open my Jenkins app. So Jenkins is also there in my local host. So I can just start Jenkins. So localhost 8080. Okay, so I'm just logging admin. So whichever username you have given to your own Jenkins, you can just click on the sign in. So still logging into this. Just wait for a few seconds. So let me just start one more time. Okay, so now my Jenkins has got started. So once you successfully logged in, so what you have to do is, so first time when you have Jenkins installed, so you will not see anything in this dashboard. So now we have to create a new item. So go to new item. And here we have to provide the new item. So I am providing something called open cart Postman collection. Okay, I'm just giving some project name. So open cart Postman collection. Okay, and I'll say like this, open cart Postman collection. Okay, this is the name I have given. So here we have to take the freestyle project. So select the freestyle project, then say okay. So once you have done it, so it will navigate to another page. So it will navigate to the configuration page of that particular project. So here, if you want to write some description, you can just write it, or else leave everything. It is not required. So directly go to build section. So here we have to add one thing called execute Windows batch command. Okay, this is the one we need to add. Suppose if you're working on Mac or Linux or Unix, you have to select execute shell. Okay, this is the option you have to select. And if you are working on Windows, you have to select execute Windows batch command. So in this command prompt, we have to give the command to run the collection. So before that, in the first approach, what is the command we have given to run this collection? This is a command, right? The same thing we have to just give. So this, if I give HTML, HTML will be regenerated, or else in the Jenkins itself, we will able to see the result. Copy this part, and the same command we are going to paste it over here. So newman run, this is a collection URL. Okay, and then save, apply, and then save. So it will go to the project specific dashboard here. And you can run this from anywhere. Again, if you go to the main dashboard, so you can run from here directly. You can just click on build now. So here you can directly run from the home page, or you can just click on the project. So go to your project section, and here also there is an option called build now. You can click on here. So let me just click on the build now option here. So now it is started. Clicking on the progress bar. I'm clicking on the progress bar. So here you will able to see the execution. So it is getting failed some reason. So let us see why it is getting failed. Click on the console output. So it is end up with the failure. So why it is getting failure? There is some error. Collection could not loaded. Unable to read the data from the file. It is clearly saying some information. Okay, so let us see whether we given the right path or not. Okay, so let me just check the configuration once again. Go to the project. If it is getting failed, you will see the cross mark like this. Okay, open the project. And before executing in the Jenkins, you have to make sure whether it's successfully running in the command prompt or not. Okay, that's the most important. And then only you will able to run in the Jenkins. So let me just try to run in the command prompt once again. And if it is running here, it should run in the Jenkins. Yeah, here it is running perfectly fine. Okay, so let me just execute the same command we have to execute in the Jenkins. Let me copy this command. Go back to Jenkins, and in the Jenkins, you can just click on the configure. Here you can see what is the path you have given in the command. Again, if you navigate here. So here we have to give. So newman run, and this is the location. This is the URL. Apply, save, and then execute one more time. So this is the first time failure. So let's try to execute one more time. I say build now. It is executing second time. Yeah, so now the second time is executed. And you can see some junk characters that is given by Jenkins, but the rest of the things is got passed. Everything is got passed. These are junk characters is giving in the table. And finally it is successful here. You can see here. And go back to the project. And you can see my request is got passed. Second time it got passed. And if I just go to the dashboard, so here it is also saying passed. Okay. So yeah, so this is how we can just execute your collection in the Jenkins. Again, if you want to modify the configuration, you go to the configuration, right? So here you can just change the path. Here, if you want to generate HTML, you can specify /-r HTML. Now apply, save, right? So then let me execute one more time. So click on build now. So again, it is executing. If you click on the progress bar, you will see the execution process. Now it is exactly successful. So it is automatically generated XML, HTML file. So where it is generated, you can just go to the location. They will, the HTML file is generated wherever the collection is executed, but where exactly it is executed. So this is the location. Here it is created workspace, their own workspace. So we have to open this URL. This is the location you have to open in your local system. Open here. So in this, you can see the report, Newman, and this is the HTML report. Okay, so this is the process of executing your collection. So to run the Jenkins, we have to first export it. Okay, so we have to, we already shared the collection link. So the same link we have to use in the Jenkins. Okay, so this is how we can run the collection in the Jenkins. Now, one more thing. So this we already seen. So the next thing is how to run the collection from the GitHub. Suppose you already done some collections. Okay, I already done some collections. I want to export the collections to the GitHub repository. Then I will run the collection from the GitHub repository. Okay, so then let me just push our collection to the GitHub repository. So here again, I'm not going to explain anything about Jenkins, GitHub. So if you already attended web related sessions, automation sessions, you already know this. Okay, these are the prerequisites. You have to know this because when you learn Selenium web testing, so these things are already part of that. Jenkins, GitHub, all commands you have to learn. Okay, or if you don't know, I can share some links after end of the session, and you can just go to those videos and try to learn Jenkins, GitHub. Very important. Okay. So how to run the collections? First of all, let us push our collections to the GitHub repository. So how to push our collection to the GitHub repository? So go to the GitHub, and if you already have GitHub account, you need to go to the GitHub. And let me just log into my GitHub. This is my GitHub account. So here we have to create one empty repository. So to create an empty repository, just click on the new button. And here I'm giving my repository name. I can say OpenCart API _ testing. Okay, so this is a repository name I'm giving, OpenCart API testing. Click on the create repository. So once you created your repository, you will get the repository URL. So copy this repository URL and keep it here. So this is your remote repository URL. This is your remote repo URL. So now what we have to do, we have to create our own local repository, and we have to add our collection to the local repository. Then we will able to push it into the remote repository. So how to create our local repository? Create local repository. So to create our local repository, we should have Git software installation. Okay, Git software you have to install. So once you install Git software, so you will get one option like this. We just go to show more options. You can see Git GUI, Git Bash. These two options you can see if you are already installed Git. So if you have this software, then only we will be able to create the local repository. So how to create the local repository? So just go here. So wherever your collection is copied, exported. So this is not here. In the C drive, we have exported, right? So go to the C drive. Okay, so here in the my collection, so here my collection is exported here. So here you have to create your local repository. So open the right click here, properties, and here Git Bash, open the Git command prompt. So by using this Git command prompt, we have to create our local repository. So how to create a local repository? Git, what is the command? Git init, right? So git init. So this will create your local repository. Git init is a local repository. So enter. So initialized local repository. So what is the next thing we have to do? We have to associate this repository to your remote repository. So you have to connect this local repository to your remote repository. So for that, what you have to give? So they have given some commands here. So git init we already executed. So this is a command we have to execute to connect your local repository to your remote repository. So let me just execute this command. I think this is a Jenkins. Okay, I'm just stopping my Jenkins for now. Okay, let it be run. So go to your Git command prompt. All the commands we have to execute only through Git. Okay, so the next command is this one. So git remote add origin, and this is your remote GitHub URL. So this command will connect your local repository to your remote repository. Okay, let me just enter. So this is connected. So once it is connected, now we are able to commit and push our collection to the remote repository. So how we can do this? We can simply execute one command. First of all, we'll see the git status. So it is untracked file. Untracked file means it is not yet committed, not yet push it to the remote repository. So now it is ready to commit, ready to push. So now what we need to, we need to add this collection to the index staging. So first we need to add this to index or staging area. So for that, what is the command we have to execute? Git add. We have only one single file, right? So we can directly specify the file name. What is that file name? OpenCart. This is the file name. Git add OpenCart JSON file. So when I press enter, so this will be added. So what is the error? In the working copy of OpenCart collection, JSON LF will be replaced by CRF next to. Okay, that's fine. So I can ignore the warning. So now we have added the file to the index. Again, if you see the status, git status, and it should turn into another color. So the most similar command is, sorry, git status, command wrong. Yeah, so now the same file is turned into green color. Previously in the red color, now it is turned into green. Means what? It is added to the staging or indexing area. From there, we can commit into the local repository. So what is the sequence? So what is a git flow? Yes, if anybody know, please tell me. So first step, we have created a new repository. Create a new local repository. What is the command we used? Git init. Okay, that's the first step. So what is the next step? Next step. So we have added remote, or we can say connected local repo with remote repository. Okay, so that is your GitHub repository. So for that, what we have done, we have executed this particular command. So this is a command we executed. Now the third step. After connected, what we have done, we have added our local file to your indexing area. Add file to index or stage. For that, what is the command we executed? Git add, then here file name .json. So whichever file we have, so that file name we have to specify. File name. This is the command. Now the fourth command. So currently the file is added to the staging. Now we need to commit that file into local repository. How to commit? What is the command? Git commit -m. Here we have to provide some comment in the double quotations, and then we need to specify the file name. So the same command we are going to execute in the command prompt. So git command prompt we have to use to execute all the commands. So what is the next command? Git commit -m, and this is my first commit. And after that, if you do any changes, we can again commit multiple times. So git commit -m, first commit. And then we need to say file name. So file name is required or not here? I think file name is not required. Okay, so simply say comment. So whatever files are there in the staging, all files will be automatically committed. So go here and then execute. Yeah, so now one file is got changed and it is added to the local repository. Again, if you want to see the status, you can say git status. So now nothing to commit. Branch master is free. So it is tree is clean. So everything is done. So now finally, our file is present in the local repository, local Git repository. Now we need to push it into the remote repository. That is your GitHub repository. So for that, we have to execute one more command, the last command. What is that last command? Git push origin master. Okay, so this is the last command. Git push -u is an optional. If you want to give -u, it will ask you username and password. If I don't put, if I don't push, if I don't see -u, if you don't put -u, it will not ask you any username and password. Okay, let me just try to execute that command. So currently I don't have any files in your remote repository. As soon as you executed your push command, here you will able to see the collection. Okay, let me just execute this command. Git push origin master. So now I have executed this command. So as soon as it's completed 100%, now you can go back to the GitHub repository, refresh your page. So then you will be able to see the collection. Okay, the collection file you can see in your GitHub repository. So now I want to execute this collection in the Jenkins. Okay, this GitHub repository, this is the actual process, guys. We don't run local files in the Jenkins. So Jenkins is a web-based tool actually. So you cannot run local files in the Jenkins. So only the Git files you will able to run the Jenkins. So now let me run this GitHub URL or GitHub file into the Jenkins. So how to run this now in the Jenkins? You should have a URLs. So this is a remote URL we created at the initial level, right? Even if you provide this URL to you, you guys also can access this. You guys also can run this in your Jenkins because this is the remote. This is a global. So now again, go back to the Jenkins. And now this time I'm going to create one more project. Go to the dashboard, create another. This is created for local, right? So this project is created to run the local collection. So now I want to run the collection from the GitHub repository. So create a new item. And here I can say open cart API from GitHub. Okay, from GitHub. So I'll again select the freestyle project, click on OK button. And this time we have to select one option called Git. So source code management, under this, you can see something called Git here. So select this Git and copy this URL. So whatever the remote repository URL you have, you can just copy it. You no need to provide any credentials. Just provide the URL here. And then come to the build section. So build section and go to execute Windows batch command or execute shell. If you are working on Mac or Linux, you have to use execute shell. So execute batch command, and here just to provide the command. Okay, whatever command we specified here, just not this one. So same command, whatever we executed earlier, the same command in approach 2, guys. Okay. So we have like executed through URL, right? So that is the command we have to. I think I have not pasted that command here. Okay. So let me paste this command here. So this URL we have to specify instead of physical file. Okay, this will able to run the collection. This is the shared URL. Okay, shared URL. So now we will execute this entire command directly in the Jenkins. Go to the Jenkins and paste it over here. Okay, so now this is the we should not specify URL, okay, because the collection file is already coming from the GitHub repository. So we should not specify anything here. Just remove this. Okay, just remove this. I say simple newman and run. Only command. Okay. So then execute. So apply, save, and then execute. I say go to build now. Okay, just click on this progress bar, and somehow it is getting failed. So it is getting the collection from the GitHub. Okay, just a second. Yeah, so here cloning the repository, getting this repository URL. Okay, I think that is not the option, guys. We have to select one more type of option. Go to back to project. Yeah, 1 second. Go to configure. Actually, we should not take the Windows batch command here. So we should not take this. Okay, not this one. So we should take something else here. Okay. Yeah, so we have to specify the name also, guys, because it will just get the collection. So we have to specify the name also. Yeah, the same command, no change. I'm confused. Yeah. So Newman run the collection name we have to specify. Actually, this collection will come from the GitHub repository URL. Okay. And then -r HTML, same command. So then apply and then save and then execute one more time. Click on build now. Again, another run it started. Click on the progress bar. Yeah, now it is started executing my collection and it is successfully done. Okay, so this is how we can also execute our collection from the remote repository. Fine. So this is all about execution. How many ways we can execute our collection. So how many ways we have seen? First approach, we have run the collection in the command prompt with HTML report, without HTML report. Second approach, we run the collection remotely using URL, again with HTML report, without HTML report. And approach 3 is what? Approach 3, run the collection in Jenkins. And this is again locally. Local file we have run the Jenkins, run the collection in the Jenkins. Run the collection in Jenkins locally. Okay. And for this, we followed all the steps. So this we already seen. Okay. So then approach 3, run the collection in Jenkins from GitHub. This is approach 3. So here, these are the steps. Okay. We have to first get the remote repository URL, then create the local repository, then connect to local repository to remote repository, then add your file to index or staging, then commit, then push it. And in the Jenkins, again, same process. We have to create a freestyle project, right? So go to the configuration again. Configuration again, same configuration. So we have to select the freestyle project. And here we have to select the Git, provide the GitHub URL. And then in the build section, you can just pass the entire command. That's it. So this is how we can run the collection in the different ways. And now you will be able to access that collection also from my Git repository. I will share all the links. I will share the document also. Go to the document, do everything step by step. Okay. And then you have to practice this multiple times. So then only you will be able to remember all the steps. Okay. So this is all about Postman. So this is the last session for Postman. So whatever we have discussed so far, please practice all this stuff. And I will provide all the documents related stuff. And also I will provide you some links related to Git, GitHub and Jenkins. You can just go through those links and watch those videos and try to understand. And that's it. So in the next session onwards, we are going to start rest assured. Okay. So that's all for today's session. I'm just stopping here. We'll continue in the next session.